Crows have been studying you for months, and they know exactly who you are. You've noticed the same crow perched in your yard before. Maybe several times, maybe every single morning for weeks. You figured it was simply passing through, that you were just one stop among many in its territory, and it would eventually move along. But here's the truth. That crow has memorized your face. It knows your schedule. It knows what time you step outside, which door you walk through, whether you're the type who tosses out food or completely ignores it. It has been observing you, carefully, consistently, and with a depth of intelligence that tends to genuinely unsettle people the moment they grasp it. And if you've ever done something to bother it, even once, even unintentionally, it almost certainly remembers. Welcome back to Backyard Bird Mind. If you're new here, hit subscribe right now, because what you're about to discover will permanently shift the way you see every bird that lands in your yard. Today, we're diving deep into the crow, the most intellectually formidable wild bird in the American backyard. The one that recognizes faces, carries grudges, educates its young, and has been building a thorough portrait of you, your habits, your patterns, your trustworthiness, for far longer than you'd expect. There are 8 things I want you to understand about what crows actually perceive when they look at you. Stay through to the end, because the final one completely reframes how you think about the birds living alongside you. Number 1. They have already memorized your face. This isn't folklore. This isn't us projecting human emotions onto animals. This is one of the most consistently replicated discoveries in modern animal cognition science. In a landmark experiment at the University of Washington, scientists wore specific masks while capturing and banding crows on campus. The birds were handled, measured, and released, a mildly stressful ordeal. Afterward, the same researchers walked through that area wearing the masks again, doing nothing threatening, just walking. The crows erupted. They scolded the masked figures, swooped at them aggressively, and pulled in other crows to join the assault. This went on for years. When researchers who had never participated in the original captures put on those same masks and walked the same paths, they received identical treatment, even though they had never personally touched a single crow. The birds had passed the information along. They had taught other crows, including juveniles born well after the original incident, to recognize and respond to a particular human face. This is not hardwired instinct. This is learned, culturally transmitted knowledge. The implications for your backyard are enormous. Every encounter you've ever had with the crows in your neighborhood has been cataloged, not loosely but precisely. Chased one off, threw something at one, made a startling noise nearby. That record lives on within your local crow community, and it has almost certainly been circulated. Number 2, the crow visiting your yard is quietly profiling you. Crows are what researchers describe as neophilic, genuinely drawn to novelty, new objects, unfamiliar situations, and unknown individuals. But that curiosity is paired with exceptional caution. Before a crow fully accepts a new element into its world, including a new human, it observes from a distance, from multiple vantage points across multiple days. What it's constructing is something strikingly similar to what we'd call a dossier. It knows which window you glance out of each morning. It knows whether you move with urgency or ease. It knows if you look up when crows call out or simply tune them out. It knows whether you leave food on a reliable schedule or inconsistently. It knows whether other crows in the area seem to trust you. Crow researcher Dr. John Marsloff of the University of Washington describes this process as the crow assembling a reputation map of every individual in its territory. People who behave consistently and predictably are categorized as safe. Those who are erratic, aggressive, or unpredictable are flagged as threats, and that label is remarkably hard to undo. You already have a standing reputation with your local crows. The only question is, what kind? Number 3, their children already know about you. What comes next is something most people struggle to accept as real. The crow family unit is among the most socially intricate structures in the entire bird world. Crow pairs typically bond for life. Their young, called helpers, commonly stay with the family for 1 to 5 years, assisting with territory defense, locating food, and helping raise future broods. This means that when a crow family learns something significant about a human in their territory, that you're generous, that you're dependable, that you once hurled something at them, that knowledge flows directly to the next generation. Research tracking individual crow families across multiple years has documented this transmission of human-specific information from parents to offspring with striking reliability. Juveniles who have never personally crossed paths with a specific human will display the exact same wariness or the exact same trust as their parents because they were informed. Your reputation with your local crows doesn't expire with the birds who formed it. The crows perched on your fence today may be responding to something you did or something a neighbor did 2 or 3 years ago before those birds were even hatched. Number 4. If you wronged one, the grudge could outlast you. If a crow has decided you're a threat, here's what you need to understand. It will not simply let it go. The University of Washington research documented crow grudge behavior sustained for over 17 years in certain cases, well beyond the natural lifespan of the birds who had the original negative encounter. The grudge had been transmitted so completely and so faithfully that it survived its origin point entirely. But resentment is only half the story. Crows also maintain what researchers call positive associations with particular humans, and those are just as enduring. Someone who feeds crows reliably, who moves calmly around them, who never startles or threatens them, builds a relationship of trust that deepens over time. Crows in positive relationships with specific humans have been documented voluntarily approaching those individuals, waiting for them at predictable times, and, in one of the most remarkable documented behaviors in all of bird research, leaving them gifts. Small objects, shiny things, bits of wire, buttons, beads, fragments of glass, placed deliberately at spots where that particular human tends to appear. Researchers have confirmed through careful observation that individual crows bring these objects to specific individuals who have fed them, not randomly, not to strangers, but to the one person they've identified as a trustworthy and consistent presence in their lives. Number 5, they are capable of genuine reasoning. This one reshapes how you think about bird intelligence altogether. Crows belong to the family Corvidae, which includes ravens, jays, and magpies. And the cognitive research on corvids over the past 2 decades has yielded findings that genuinely caught the scientific world off guard. Crows manufacture tools. New Caledonian crows, studied in depth by Oxford researchers, don't merely use sticks to dig insects out of bark. They engineer and refine those tools to perform better. They select raw materials based on specific physical properties. They carry tools they'll need later to locations where they plan to use them. But the North American crow, the one sitting in your yard, demonstrates something equally astonishing: causal reasoning. In a study at Cambridge University, crows were shown a floating treat inside a water-filled tube, positioned just out of reach. They were given stones of varying sizes. Without any previous exposure to this specific situation, they figured out that dropping stones into the tube would raise the water level and bring the treat within reach. And they chose the larger stones, not the smaller ones, because they understood the relationship between mass and water displacement. The crow watching you from your fence is not simply reacting to stimuli. It is actively thinking about you, drawing conclusions, anticipating your next move. Number 6, their calls are broadcasting your reputation right now. If you've made it this far, what follows will change the way you hear crow calls forever. Crows possess one of the most elaborate vocal systems of any bird species on Earth. Researchers have cataloged over 240 distinct vocalizations, calls that convey food sources, danger, identity, location, emotional states, and social information with a specificity that dwarfs simple alarm signals. When a crow directs a specific scolding call at a human, it is not just venting frustration. It is transmitting data. Other crows within range, sometimes extending hundreds of meters in every direction, receive and decode that signal. They pinpoint the location of the perceived threat, assess its nature, and respond. This means a single moment of conflict between you and one crow in your yard can be heard and processed by dozens of birds across your neighborhood in seconds. Your reputation doesn't stay with one bird, it spreads. And when a crow makes a different call, the softer, more varied sounds that accompany positive social interactions, that signal spreads too. Crows that are at ease around you communicate that ease. Others observe calm crows near specific humans and adjust their own evaluations accordingly. Earning the trust of one crow is the first step toward earning the trust of all of them. Number 7. Crows gather around their dead, and no one fully understands why. Groups of crows, sometimes numbering in the dozens, will congregate near a deceased crow. They go unusually quiet for a species rarely associated with silence. They don't feed. They don't engage in territorial posturing. They remain for minutes, sometimes longer, then gradually scatter. This behavior has been studied at the University of Washington and interpreted as a form of intelligence gathering, living crows extracting information about potential dangers from the condition and location of the dead. But the researchers themselves acknowledge that the behavioral profile of these gatherings goes beyond what pure information transfer would require. There is something else present, something that resembles, without being identical to, what we would recognize as mourning. If you've ever witnessed this in your yard, a sudden hushed gathering of crows around a still figure on the ground, that strange, weighted silence, the slow and wordless dispersal. You were watching something that science is still working to fully explain. And the crows that gathered knew precisely where they were, in a territory they had mapped, near humans they had assessed. They chose that place deliberately. Number 8. All of this works in your favor, if you let it. I saved this for last because it's the most meaningful point of all and the most encouraging. Everything I've described, the facial recognition, the reputation mapping, the intergenerational transmission of information, the long memories, the grudges, every single bit of it operates in both directions. If your local crows have concluded that you are safe, dependable, and a positive presence in their territory, what follows is one of the most genuinely extraordinary relationships available to any backyard birder. Not because crows are charming the way a cardinal is, but because they are engaging with you as a specific individual. Not your yard, not your feeder, you. The steps to get there are straightforward. Start leaving food. Unsalted peanuts in the shell are the most widely accepted offering, at the same location, at the same time, every day. Be present without being intrusive. Speak softly if you speak at all. Avoid sudden movements. Don't advance toward them. Let them come to you. Within a few weeks, the crows in your area will have revised their assessment of you. Within a few months, you may notice them waiting for you, calling in a way that sounds distinctly different from their alarm calls. Lower, richer, almost like conversation. And one day, you may find something small and reflective left precisely where you always stand. That is not coincidence. That is a crow telling you that you have been seen, truly, completely seen, by a mind far more complex than most people ever realized was watching them.